and I want to say, guys, good morning. Hopefully you're, or good afternoon if you're in Europe. Hopefully you're having a great day. This is going to be the English option of today's Acer TeamStory Cup. This is a team league that is pretty darn prestigious. There's a lot of great teams involved in this. Looking at the standings right now, actually, we're in week. This is week 4. No, this is week 3.
So this is the last match of week 3.
Yep.
So
Acer versus Liquid.
Yep.
And Liquid actually hasn't played a match yet.
Yeah, they've had scheduling issues for all the matches, so they're trying to kind of play catch up a little bit. Of course, there's a lot of Liquid players competing, like Taja's competing everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a nightmare for
Hero
them.
is as well, right? Hero is competing in a lot of different events in Korea. So it's pretty intense. But the way that this works is it's a team league. Every team plays every other team in a round robin group stage. And the top is it 4? I think it's the top 4. No, maybe it's the top.
Top 4 go to the playoffs.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's because they're green.
Well,
I think that's how it works.
To
Is that not how? I guess that was an assumption. First place $10,000, second place $5,000, third place $3,000, fourth place $2,000. A lot of money there on the line. So basically, you want to win. That's the main idea. It's league play, so it's a very long-running league. You play a lot of games, a lot of matches. It's like if you ever played soccer when you were younger, if you ever played baseball, if you ever played football. You had these leagues where you would play in the regular season, then you play in the playoffs. Same sort of situation, except this is involving teams. So this is a situation where it's like penalty kicks in soccer, where you have each person go up and face another person in a sense. Whoever scores more goals wins the match, moves on to the next round, kind of a thing. So it's a lot of fun. I'm personally a huge fan of team games, team leagues. I feel like there's a whole different sort of energy in games like these. You're not just playing for yourself anymore. You're playing for your team, and if you do bad, it's going to reflect badly upon your team. Perhaps everyone's going to have their own different mentality. But for me personally, if I'm in a team league and I'm losing, it might impact me more than if I'm just playing solo and just like laddering, but like maybe even in a tournament situation. I don't know. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It definitely does. But first, I think we should talk about the format. So the way it is, again, it's a team thing in a round-robin structure. And in each match is a best of 9. And it's a King of the Hill format. So each team sends one player up. Then the player who wins both scores a point for the team and also plays in the next match. So then another team has to decide, who can we now send up against this guy? If your team is down to the last player, you've already had 4 players lose, that means the score is 4 to something, then you can revive one of your teammates to have them play again. So let's say Acer uses innovation in the first match.
And then he loses.
He takes out a couple people, whatever, then he loses. And then you have Scarlet lose, you have MMA lose, and you have Bly lose. You've had 4 people lost, you're down to one map left. You can bring back Scarlet, you can bring back Innovation, you can bring back MMA. So you can have one player play twice for that very last match. And what's really cool about this one, as opposed to most King of the Hill formats, is the maps are preset, which I've always thought is so much better. A lot of these things, it's like the team that loses picks the map. So like, it'll be like Innovation Hero, Innovation beats Hero, then Team Liquid both gets to pick the next player. Let's say they pick Tasia, and then they also
Tasia can choose whatever map that he would be amazing on. Okay, yeah. That's
so in this one, it's a set map pool. With like the first map's gonna be Polar Night, the second one's World 1, third one's Star Station, etc. And what's so awesome about this is that when you pick who plays, you have to not just think about who's best to beat this guy on any map. It's who's best to beat this guy on this map, and also if he wins, is the next map a good map for them as well? And then you kind of look at the map order like, well, there's 3 maps in a row between maps 5 and 8 that are really good for Terran. So let's save Innovation for that point, or let's save Tasia for that point.
We need to make a team because we'd have amazing strategy as far as that's concerned.
No, the strategy is really awesome.
That's like I never actually thought of that much. That's really cool. But it looks like
we're into the first match. The first match is going to be Team Liquid's Ret against Acer's Bly.
Oh yes, this is going to be game number 1, and it's first of 5 wins, if I'm correct in saying so.
Indeed, you are, sir.
So we'll see what happens. Who's going to get that early momentum on Polar Night LE? It's a ZVZ in the top left-hand location. I present your Red Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is Rhett. Rhett, a very well-known player. He's been in the scene for a very long time.
Of course, from the Netherlands is Liquid Rhett. And his opponent in the bottom of Polar Night, we have Team Acer's Bly. Bly, a very aggressive Zerg. And honestly, so a lot of this team games comes to the strategy of who do you put in what maps and who do you start out with. And what's interesting is Polar Knight is typically not an amazing Zerg map. It's typically a map where, Protoss like Polar Knight, Terrans find it pretty decent. It's obviously it's a fairly balanced map. It's not like, oh, Zergs are going to be in trouble here. But it's interesting that both teams did open Zerg. Now Acer is very Zerg heavy. And Liquid, if you're thinking about their players, right? Their ace players, of course, are Tasia and Liquid Hero. And if you're thinking about it that way, you're like, well, you might not want to start out with one of those ace players, because if you lose them early, then you're in trouble. Sometimes you do want to start them out, but Liquid's thinking about it, they're like, Acer will probably start a Zerg player, right?
Yeah.
And if we think about Rhett's role in our team, Rhett's one of his strongest matchups is DVZ. Is Rhett the guy that you can send out against Innovation or MMA? Maybe, maybe not.
Sure.
But is he the guy that can definitely win some ZVZs versus the rest of the Team Acer?
Right.
Which is very, very Zerg heavy? Definitely. So I really like their choice to put Red out, and I think this already kind of favors them having Red versus Bly as the first match. Now, that being said, Red versus Bly is an incredibly close matchup. I think they're both very, very close in skill. But if whoever wins is really going to get that momentum for their team starting off.
So I might be completely off base here. But playstyle-wise or race-wise, does race come into play in any case as far as when you're sending the first guy out? If they're going to be Protoss, Terran, or Zerg? I feel like there could be an argument for Zerg being that race that's a little bit more reactionary, a little bit more flexible, where it's Zerg kind of plays depending on what their opponent is. So if you're putting a player out first, rather than getting a guy who's awesome at sniping in TVZ or has a great timing build in PVZ, you just put out a Zerg player to it's kind of the best of all worlds, best of all scenarios. Does that have any basis to it?
It might. I think the biggest basis, though, is the map order.
Sure.
So, for example, Star Station, I think, is either the second or third map in this list. And Star Station is one of the best Zerg maps in the pool.
Okay.
So you don't just think about the first map. You think about, well, if our player wins, can you win 2 in a row? Because if you just win 1, that's nice.
Right.
But winning 2 in a row is really, really, really huge. And that's what puts you up. So you think, okay, whoever wins here, they also have to have a good shot against anyone on the next map, right? So what's the next map? What's the best race to make that work?
Okay, so in this game we got Rhett versus Bly, Liquid versus Acer. See, I don't even know necessarily who's available for these two teams today.
That's actually really.
Were you able to peek in the channel before it started to see what players were around, or do we even?
Well,
know
they're kind of coming up as they're called. And
okay.
One of the huge questions for this match in particular is, will Scarlet play? Because Scarlet, she has the wrist issues. Yes, she did play in WCS America round of 32 Group H a couple days ago. But was that like a one-off thing so she can maintain her WCS standing? Is she going to rest for her WCS matches, or are they going to bring her out against Liquid? Being this might be, I like I said earlier, I think these are the 2 best teams outside of Korea right now, or 2 of the best non-Korean focused teams.
Sure.
And the winner of this is going to be a big favorite to go very far in Acer Team Cup.
Yeah, of course. And you never know when you might see one man called Innovation. Will that happen on this day?
He will.
We see
Innovation will play.
Innovation.
There's going to be some innovative stuff, definitely. And already in this game, talk about it, we see a lot of differences. So Rhett never got Zergling speed. If you look in that upgrade tab, he never got it. He went straight to a very fast Roach attack upgrade, attack straight to Roaches, which is, you see it time to time, but Zergling speed and a map control style of play is the much more common strategy, and that's exactly what Bly's gone for. Now, Bly scouted the fact that his opponent went Roaches.
Yeah.
And so he's instantly teching Lair. Now it's a game of Bly has map control and more mobility. But Rhett should be able to defend if the Roaches stay at home, and Rhett's army is actually stronger than Bly's. In a straight-up fight, Rhett would destroy Bly, especially considering he has a +1 attack on Roaches, which makes him 50% more effective against Zerglings. It's one of the biggest upgrades, in the entire game. That being said, if Rhett moves out to attack, he's got to be very afraid of a speeding counterattack.
Yes.
Because if he moves out of his base, these speedings can run right in and just destroy everything he has.
So I think a big thing here is going to be the third base, because right now Bly has free reign over the map. He has those lings in the middle of the map. He could deny Rhett's third and take his own third. So how does Rhett kind of get past that, or does he even care?
That's a really good question. There's a couple approaches. Sometimes a player in Rhett's position will go for this giant Roach attack, and then they'll put 2 queens on their ramp. And what they'll do is they'll just say, all right, if you do a mass speeding counterattack, I lose my natural, but with some roaches rallied up, there's no way you're going to break my ramp. But that really puts them very all in on that roach attack, right? Because they're sacrificing their natural, so to speak. But that, I mean, if you have enough roaches, you can maybe make it work. Other times, a player will do exactly what Rhett's doing. They just won't attack. And yes, that gives Bly the upper hand. But Bly being afraid that Rhett might attack, we can see he went ahead and got a couple spine cores. So while Bly could have had a third base up, in fact, he could still take one, he's been a little bit hesitant because he's been afraid of this mass roach attack. So it really can go either way. And Bly's playing almost, it's weird to see Bly playing this conservatively because normally he's a very bold player. But he's definitely weird. There's a potential for massive roach timing.
Oh, trying to take down the drone. Of course, that drone is trying to go sneak in that third base, and now that third base is going to be delayed a little bit. Now Bly knows exactly what's going on. Red has a lot of roaches behind this, so it's a situation where he can take that third base and potentially counter across the map, but then we have to examine, okay, is there potential for a run by Bly?
And there's so many open areas.
Yeah, so Red's kind of staying back home.
And, of course, there's this back rocks here that the Sturgeons could potentially sink through. Oh, he's going to get the cancel on the hatchery.
Yes.
Yes, oh, not even canceled, actually, just destroyed. That's a big blow to Rhett. Now, by now, Rhett maybe has figured out that Bly's going muted. He is adding additional queens and taking straight to infestors. And Bly, of course, like we talked about, he's totally free to take a third base whenever he wants. There's no way Rhett can cancel that without greatly exposing himself to counterattacks. And actually, with this third base canceled, the biggest thing of that is slows creep spread. Now,
and spore crawlers.
Yeah, he does have Overlord here. He could drop creep and build a spore. But I don't think he's... okay, wait. Just now, he's 100% sure. Before, he suspected Spire, so he's getting additional queens. Now he knows there's a Spire. So here come the spore crawlers. You can see two here. Very important to control area between your natural and third, because you're going to want to move queens and roaches between those two bases to support wherever the Zerg attacks. Also, of course, you want to protect the main mineral line. Hopefully, there's a spore crawler there. And I would really love to see him build a spore crawler at this third base, because without it, what's to stop the mutas from just getting another cancel?
Not much. The queen's trying to come down there, but the lings are there to supplement, and this is going to be a goal from Bly. Can he deny this third base over and over and over again and force Rhett to make some crazy decisions to get back to this game? Because if Bly can get a third base up and Rhett can't, then the economy is going to be hugely in Bly's favor, which he's going to love.
It is, and you know what's really cool? Notice how Bly focused that Overlord first. He knew that the threat was the Overlord might kill the spore crawler. Or might creep that he could build a spore crawler in. And Bly does not want spore crawlers up in that third base. As long as there's no spore crawler, he can micro around queens. Yes, queens are tough to kill, and if they're together, you're not going to defeat them in battle because of transfuse. But as long as the spore crawler did get up once the hatchery was down. So he delayed it for a bit, but Rhett did find a way to get spore crawler up. But now the muter harass is going to continue, but a spore crawler is really going to help protect some of these drones. Now, he's actually going to try to take the queens. I don't know if he can do that. Yeah, he's backing away. Trading mutas versus queens, unless you can dominate the battle, is typically not worth it. Just because the queens are so, they're just minerals, right? They're much cheaper to replace, whereas the mutas are fairly expensive.
Okay, so at this point, we have quite a few queens there from Red. Now, as far as responses to those mutas, are you happy with this infestor play?
Oh yeah, infestors are great. I love the fact he's got a lot of queens and he's continuing to build them. The one thing I do think is that he maybe didn't quite respect the mutas enough. He's taking a lot of damage because he doesn't have quite enough spore crawlers to really zone the mutas out. And that's also, to Bly's credit, Bly's doing an amazing job of finding opportunities where you can just pick off a drone here, pick off a roach here. And if you look at units lost, you know, Bly's lost a lot of speedlings, but he's also done a lot of damage to the economy of Red. If you look at workers killed, he's killed 33 drones just with the mutilus. Or, I mean, there was some speeding damage as well.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, it's been absolutely great for Bly, really making value of the mutas beyond map control. He's getting map control, plus he's actually finding some decent trades. Oh, there goes the first fungal.
It's a great fungal. Killing about 4 mutas, I think.
Yeah, 4 or 5 there,
yeah. Which is fantastic. But moving forward, as we're starting to get to more of these static, more of these flexible, more of these bruising army as far as heavy roach compositions to really get that meat in your army, Bly looks like he's really happy with the situation right now.
Well, Bly is ahead in supply, but that can be deceiving because his supply that's useful is pretty much pure roach and a couple mutas, but those aren't really a big deal anymore. Whereas Rhett has queens, which are more valuable than a roach in a battle 1-to-1 and are the same supply, and he's got all these infestors. So Rhett's army is much more supply efficient. If you look at army value, Rhett's actually slightly ahead, although it's almost dead even. Also note that Rhett has 2 attack upgrades done, whereas Bly doesn't have his single attack where he's only halfway done. That's because he opened mutas and he got the evil level later. So while Bly has a few more roaches on the field right now, Ret has that tech advantage that Bly's trying to catch up in, and as time goes on, the infestors are going to regather their energy, or the ones that didn't even use fungals are going to gather more and more energy, and they can be really cost efficient as the game goes on. But Bly really trying to make something happen with his superior numbers right now.
He's swinging into the natural expansion there. Ret going to try to retreat and deal with that. Remember, Red has a bunch of infestors on the field. That might be one of his main advantages in this situation. At the same time, Bly going to use this as a distraction and hit his opponent's third base directly. Going to go after those drones. Might even try to take down the hatchery.
We'll see. Doesn't think he can get the hatchery, which I think is
that's
the
a
right
wise choice.
Yeah, I mean, if he dove it, there is maybe a chance he would have killed it, but it lost all these roaches, and it would have been a very good counterattack opportunity for Ret. Now, more economic damage was done by Bly. Workers killed up to 53.
To 0. Like 53 is great, but Ret, like 53 to 0 is
But he's also playing
Ret.
Ret, so Ret's only at 28 workers.
Yeah,
wow.
man, he has to get something done. Bly has been a worker destroyer in this game. A worker destroyer.
That being said, though, Ret still has a small upgrade advantage, 2 attack upgrades to the single one of Bly. This third base of Bly's is under fire, but actually I think he has enough here to defend. Meanwhile, another Ret group of roaches caught off guard as well. Ret has these small group of roaches. Bly is actually splitting his units up great. In every single engagement, Bly has more than Ret, even though overall on the map, Ret is actually the stronger player army-wise, or he was up until the sequence of events happened, and he just got slaughtered in 3 different fronts. He did get the third hatchery, but that being said, that's a small consolation prize.
There it is, GG. And Bly taking a mildly comfortable game 1 there.
Yeah, very, very nice game by Bly there, and
I'm impressed.
That's actually, yeah, he played that beautifully. And if you think about what Ret's goal is in Liquid's lineup, his goal is to knock out the Zerg players like Bly and Scarlet.
Yep.
So that Tasia and Hero can just worry about innovation and MMA. That's like the goal behind fielding Ret like that. And for him to lose, it's like, well, we got what we wanted. We had Ret against a Zerg. At least, I mean, maybe he practiced something else. I don't know. But that was, at least from my knowledge of players, that's kind of what Liquid was thinking.
Yeah.
So they have to come up with a new plan. Who do they use against Bly? Think on that.
That's a good question. Yeah, guys, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Acer TeamStory Cup, Liquid versus Acer. That was game 1. Bly taking out Ret mildly convincingly. We'll be right back with game 2.